Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vet Chats, where we help veterans share their awesome stories and make the veteran community a better place. I hope you'll stay tuned to hear how the new generation is continuing their service. Also, Vet Chats is now available on Reach Across America Radio. We will be played Mondays at 9 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. They have a ton of great veteran content that I know you'll appreciate. You can find them at their website, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, the Odyssey app. Also, the Veteran Workbook is now available, as you can see right here. The best place to find it is through the link in my bio, as it isn't searchable yet. It will be soon. All right, hello everyone. I see we got people joining. How was your weekend? I hope you all had a good one. I had a long weekend, but I'm happy to be here with you all tonight. And we have a great guest, Alecia Aguilar. She is a podcast host of the Self-Awareness podcast. Love that name. She's a Navy veteran, and she got out in 2021, so pretty recent. And we're going to chat about that, and also her brand about mental health awareness. So I don't see Alecia on yet. Oh, wait.
Hi, to you.
Hey, Alecia. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. Happy to be here with you. How was your weekend?
It was good. Actually, one of my friends that I was stationed with when I was serving, she's visiting this weekend, so we've been having a good time.
That is wonderful. There's nothing like that, like reconnecting with someone. Did you say you went on to point you were stationed with her?
Yeah, we served together for like 5 years, and like we just became like best friends, and now we're like inseparable. So yeah.
I love that. There's nothing that can like even replace that bond. It's
Yeah.
Y'all are bonded for life.
Yeah, we got matching tattoos.
What does that say?
It says Bango, but like, so when we used to work together, we'd always like say silly stuff, and I would always say bingo bango, and then some guy was like, well, which one's bingo, which one's bango? And I was like, bango. So now that's our nickname towards each other. We like, instead of saying something's cool, we say it's bango or something like that.
I love that. That should catch on. That's actually a really cool name. Bango. I like it.
Yeah.
That's catchy. Well, anyhow, I'm excited to have you on to share more about your journey, especially your mental health journey. And so I wanted to start with this question because I thought it was pretty cool, and it's something that you talk about a lot. Like, how was your mental health journey like a fitness journey? I think that's such a great comparison.
Yeah, I love that example because like I was actually starting my mental health journey when I was doing my fitness journey. I just wasn't aware of it at the time, and that's kind of how it relates to our podcast. But to like tell you the whole story, so when I was serving, I started to serve in the Navy when I was 19 years old, and there was two things that I realized when I got in, that I was really good at my job and that I liked learning. So
wait, what was your job?
I was actually I started as undesignated airman.
Okay.
I was like a yeoman for like 6 months, and then I was like a plane captain for 6 months, and then I finally became an AZ. So
cool. Very cool.
A lot of different jobs when I was in, but most of them are like admin. But yeah. Being able to learn, just quickly adapt to any of those jobs just really helped me just like progress my career, and then but actually helped me build responsibility and faster than I ever thought. Which was like good, but also like that contributed to like my anxiety when I was in. Yeah, I was always like worried about like being an AZ, you track parts, and it may not seem like a big deal because it's paperwork, but if you have one number wrong, like you could potentially put somebody's life in danger. So like just having that pressure on myself just gave me a type of anxiety that I never felt before. Like I was worried about it when I went to sleep, so I couldn't sleep when I was fatigued. And, you know, it just kind of like took over my mind and my body. And I just remember this day that I was like so overwhelmed, and I remember it was like nice outside because I was stationed in Virginia. And I was like, man, what if I just like went for like one run or something, for do 1 mile? And I never used to run or exercise or anything. And I just set out to do 1 mile. And to my surprise, like my world didn't feel like I was crashing anymore. So I was
Wow.
like I'm not thinking about all the things I have to do at work, or, you know, what's stressing me out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was literally sitting on one foot after the other. And that was like actually the start of my fitness journey, but actually my mental health journey as well. But I like to explain it in a way of, you know, you start out walking with your fitness journey, and then you start running and lifting and all these things, and similar to what I did with my journey. But, you know, you didn't go from 0 to 100, you know,
Right.
you, you start small, and that's the same thing with mental health journey. Like finding somewhere where you can start is comfortable for you, and just and adding on to that. So yeah, that's how I explain it.
That is such a good point, though, because sometimes we feel like we should go all in. I actually made this mistake this New Year's. I came up with all these resolutions and all these like new systems I was going to do. I was going to wake up every morning, meditate, and I just ended up burning out. And you set yourself up for failure when you're setting way too many goals. And I should have done what you just said, like implementing just one new thing, maybe a month, or maybe, you know, like just something small every once in a while when you feel like you can. That is so important, and that's such a great lesson.
Yeah, one thing I always like to say is don't underestimate what you can do in a year, but also having monthly goals are just, I think it's a really good time frame too, especially if it's a fitness journey, if you're tracking your weight or your progress. Like you don't get to see the distance progress you would make in a year, but monthly goal, you get to see a little bit, and that kind of gives you a little bit of confidence, and that's important, really important for your mental health journey as well. When we don't feel comfortable with ourselves or confident in what we're doing, it can really contribute to a lot of different areas in our life as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yep. I had the all or nothing mentality. Oh, I still fight that with so many things in my life. But like what you just said, you know, it really affects your confidence, you know, setting those goals or even just like running that 1 mile. I can imagine you just felt like so confident after you completed that. Like, I freaking did that. I did it, and I'm gonna do it again, right?
That was the goal. It was just like, it was most like, I can't believe I just did that, because I almost didn't pass my PRT in boot camp. And
Oh, no.
yeah, the thing after that was, I'm going to do 1 mile again tomorrow. And then from there, my confidence and my, just like my belief in myself kind of just grew, that, well, maybe I can try something new and just see how it goes, since I've already completed this small thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just so surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It really builds on each other. 4 a.m. wake up club. Yep, I'm not in that club. Sorry, especially not with my little 2-year-old. Take naps, break the cycle of the all or nothing.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
good.
I wish I could take a nap too. Actually, I took one today. But
Yeah.
anyhow, so let's kind of back it up a little bit. And so you are originally from Nebraska
Mhm.
and from a big family. Why did you end up joining the Navy?
So when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to go, well, I knew I wanted to get out of Nebraska. And my dad actually served 4 years. He was in the Navy too. And he definitely persuaded me, because he was like, it's like a 9 to 5, but you also get to, you know, travel, and you get your weekends off. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And he was like, you also get to make like a little money. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it because you're doing it, but I will consider it. And then I remember being a senior and where I was in English class, and everybody was like, okay, everybody fill out your forms, you know, for the college you want to go to. And I'll say, oh, yeah, I don't have any money for college. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'll do it. And it was scary, but I'm definitely glad I just said, yeah, I'm just going to follow through with it and say yes, and then see what happens.
Yeah, and you have a twin that also joined the Navy, right?
Yeah. So it's so funny because she did Army National Guard, but their boot camp is 10 weeks long and Navy is 8. So she went a little bit earlier than I did, and we didn't even realize that we were gonna graduate one day apart. So
oh no, how did your parents deal with that?
my mom flew to my graduation, and then my mom, my stepdad, and my best friend from my hometown, and my dad and my brother, they all flew to like different states and everything. So
that's probably so hard.
Yeah, I was like, what are the odds they're one day apart? And we found out because we used to write each other's letters in boot camp. So we would send them to our mom, and our mom would like mail it to the other like boot camp. So that's how I would like connect with my twin during boot camp, and it was so funny. But then in that letter we found out, oh my gosh, it's one day apart. What are the odds?
Yes, really. Oh man, that's frustrating. So did she end up going Navy, or she stayed Army?
Nope. Yeah, she's Army National Guard. And kind of got out the same time that I did, but they're more like, because you know how like if you do reserves and it's like 2 years after, you're still eligible to be called as active duty in case something happens.
Yes.
So on that for a while, but her system was a little different. She only had to go like once a month, but she did immediately move out with, like, live with me when I got stationed in Virginia. Because I remember calling her and I was like, hey, I miss you. And she was like, I miss you too. And like the odds ended up being that I had a cousin that lived there, and she had an open room. So she came to live with me, and we lived together like pretty much like my whole time I served.
Oh, that is really cool. I have a couple friends that their sister, like, while we were serving and still, like, their sisters live with them, and I just love the bond they have. I just feel like it's so special, and also, especially like the twin bond. I have twin cousins, and I'm like, yeah, it's strong, right?
You'd be surprised. Some twins like don't like each other at all, but then the other twins are like this, and that's definitely me and my sister. I always say we fight like sisters but get along like best friends. So it's nice having somebody that likes to do everything that you like to do.
Right. And how does that kind of tie in with your mental health journey? Is she like a very good like sounding board for you, like, you know, a good person to check in with, you know,
for
she's
sure.
gonna know you the best.
Yeah, but I think something that's so important with my journey, like mental health journey, is that like you don't get closer than, you know, growing up with somebody in the wombs. And we literally did not talk about feelings until I lost a really close friend. And kind of like a funny story, just the way she reacted. But yeah, like we never talked about emotions, or just, we would always be there with each other. But it wasn't until 2020 where I recently lost a friend, and I realized like I was having symptoms of depression. And then one day she was just, my sister's extrovert, so she talks more. So she was talking, and I was just like, I was like this, and I was like, I'm depressed. And she was just like, yeah, she was like that.
Yeah.
She just didn't know what to say because we never talked about our emotions. And right now, like what we like to say is kind of funny, like during COVID, that was a skill that we are actually learning, is learning how to open up with each other. So we were saying that we were like a married couple, like had to learn to like get through conversations and really just try to like tell the other person, this is what I'm going through. This is a better, way for you to approach me during this time. And I think that was like a huge step, because like being so close to somebody, I'm like, if it's hard for me and she is the closest person in the world to me, like imagine how hard it is for other people, with their spouses and their friends. And now she and I are our number one support system. So we're always big on validating each other's feelings and just checking in with each other, and just finding the best ways that work for each other, that we can just express something that bothered us throughout the day, so you can get it off your chest and not suppress it, and kind of things validated and move on for yourself, but also feel better that you've been heard. So
yeah, and it takes practice. It's not natural for us to be vulnerable, and I'm learning that too. Like, I think just over this weekend, I had a 3-day weekend, and me and my husband spent a lot of time together, and I was just like telling him things, and I was like, it just feels good to tell someone this, and I didn't even realize that that's an option. We deal with so much pain throughout the day or through our lives, and you can just tell someone. You don't have to feel like you're burdening them or dumping it on them. So what's kind of helped you be more vulnerable?
I think, to go off exactly what you said, it's like people think I'm a burden if I tell somebody what's going on with me. But the number one issue with that, of how we think, is that we think if we tell somebody, then the other person is going to feel responsible for making us better, which is not the case. So I'm guessing in your situation, what actually made you feel better is that you were able to say it out loud and not just keep it in your head.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that is going to help somebody not suppress those feelings and keep everything inside, because that's what causes the most emotional pain, and how it even stores in our body. But I think it's such an important skill, because once you learn how to do that, and even like finding phrases that work best for you in order to like learn how to say it, because like you said, it takes practice. So like saying, like a big, what my sister and I will do is, like, I wake up and I'm not feeling good that day. I'll just say, hey, like, I'm having an off day. And what you could add on to that is, like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted to let you know. And that kind of also takes the pressure off the other person, who feels that they need to, heal the other person or make them better.
Fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I think also women also have, feel the need that they need to comfort everybody as well when it comes to their vulnerability and their emotions. So being aware of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and finding what phrases work best for you. And it's also important in a work environment, because if you're having an off day and somebody says something at work that's really, you're already irritated and you have a bad reaction, and then they say, oh, well, what's going on with her, blah, 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 blah. Instead, walking in and say, hey guys, I'm not having a good day, but I'm still here. And then when something happens and you have a bad reaction there, it's more helping other people have more understanding of what you're going through, instead of not everybody assuming what everybody's thinking. Because when you say it out loud, you don't have to imagine or try to come up something in your head what somebody else is saying to you, with the reasoning behind it. Like, when you're vulnerable about it, it's already out there in the open, and everybody feels better.
Right. Yeah. And it just kind of like helps people gauge maybe their expectations of you for the day. Like, okay, I'm probably not going to be the chattiest. I'm probably not going to talk to you about last night's football game, like stuff like that. And it's nothing personal either. I think that's so important.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that's her mantra for the year is, it's not personal. Reminding, it gets hard to remind you.
Right. That's one of my mantras, and the other one is I'm not responsible for other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And that one's so hard for me, especially as like a people pleaser. I'm just like, I'm not responsible. I can't control them. Yeah, that's a big one. So eventually, when you got out in 2021, it was kind of like after the pandemic, and what were your plans for getting out?
Well, I was always somebody who was planning to get out. I ended up serving 7 because my initial plan was I'm going to do 4 and then I'm going to go to school. But before I do that, I want to save up money for a house, down payment on a house, and also pay off my, and that didn't happen the first time around. Yeah, I didn't really have any guidance on there financially. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me try this again. So I re-enlisted, and that's when I was able to complete those goals. And the reason why I did 7 is because I was able to get out early through the early separation. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Apply for it, and I got approved, so I got 11 months out, 11 months early, and I was like, because I was one of those people. I was like, oh, like I can't stand just like staring at these 4 gray walls anymore. Like I gotta get out of here. And I've always been ambitious, and I knew like the confidence that I had, like of being good at all my jobs, the 8 jobs that I did while I was in. Like, okay, I can do anything. Now let me put this towards something where I know I can make more impact. And not that the people around me in the military weren't a big enough impact for me. I just knew I would be able to help more once I was out.
Yeah.
And dedicating those long hours to something I was passionate about. So originally I wanted to go to school before I joined as a teenager. I wanted to do high fashion photography, and I was like, well, I could definitely gain some respect as a small girl, like just having these goals if I joined the military. So while I was serving, I worked with some photographers in Virginia, and I kind of realized, this isn't really my passion anymore. So once I was doing my mental health journey, my fitness journey, that actually contributes to a lot of what I do now. So my fitness journey, I lost like 30 pounds, and I ended up kickboxing, like bodybuilding. I was a CFL when I was at my command, and then people would check into the command and they would say, oh, well, this fitness stuff is easy for you. Like, you've always been fit. And I'm like, that's not. Like, I just felt so misunderstood. And I remember just wanting to make a t-shirt for a long time, and I made a t-shirt that said, I work out for my mental health. And it finally came in that last year before I got out, and I posted it on my Instagram, and there were so many people that responded to that. This is cool, I support this, I can relate to this. And I was like, well, maybe I can make something out of this.
Yeah.
That kind of like sparked the idea of like creating a brand. And as far as school, I knew I wanted to create a brand. I knew I wanted to go to school after. So I looked up the school I was originally going to go to for the high fashion photography, and I asked them about their social media platform. And they were like, well, if you want to learn about social media, why don't you just get a fashion marketing degree? Because brand. I'm like, okay. So now, 2 years later, I'm living in San Francisco, attending Academy of Art. So this was like my dream school when I was like 17. And now everything I've been able to learn within the school, I've been able to implement into my brand and my business right away. And I think that's such a blessing, especially, college doesn't always contribute to what you do. So I was definitely thankful about that. And Yeah, I knew I wanted to build something. I kind of just played everything by ear. And once a new idea sparks up, I kind of just add it to the list. And, now that I have the flexibility to have a schedule where I can embrace my passion and how I can help, it's just been, yeah, progressing anywhere in that end.
Yes. Yeah. So, it's funny how people like think that you work out or like anyone works out. The only reason for working out is vanity. It's only to look good, right? That's maybe it's Hollywood. Someone's portraying that. And the more people that I talk to, the more people say like I do it for my mental health. I do it for, just like health goals. Like there's so many more reasons to do it. And I think it's so cool that you're just like bold and putting it on a shirt and so many people can relate to that. So I'm kind of curious, what kind of classes do you take? Like, what is it like to go to an art institute?
I saw somebody put, "Girl, that art institution is fire." It is amazing. I absolutely love this school because the professors are they're so involved in the industry that they teach in, but they're also like involved in it outside of school too. So art is such, no matter what degree you go into, like networking is so important. And like for me, I'm in fashion, but there's also at this school there's like game design, videography, film, photography, graphic art, communications, just like so many degrees. I'm like, I can't even keep up with everything that you can learn.
Yeah.
Oh, to go off what you said about how important exercise is for your physical and your mental health. Actually, the class I just took is called Health, Nutrition, and Physiology. And the number one thing that we learned about it relating to longevity is exercise is the biggest contributor to benefiting your health overall, your mental health overall, and your longevity. And, you know, your micronutrients as far as vitamins and minerals. So I was like, oh, I'm so happy that I found that out on my own. But now it's like backed up by science. And the cool thing about that class is, how does health and physiology fit in with art? But it helps understand, food, nutrition, and diet, and everything about those realms to benefit themselves, so they can actually take care of themselves as they pursue their different degrees. So it's just I'm thankful that somebody went through the big aspect of thinking of all these contributors to benefit the student. And along with the other classes, there's definitely about large, like, mega factors when it comes to building a brand. So like environmental, sustainability, political, and everything along those lines. Those are really big in the fashion industry, and how you can dissect what's actually going on those goofy fashion shows when people are wearing like weird hats. You're like, what the heck is going on? One of the classes of fashion trend analysis, and we were able to go through the whole runway show and figure out what the meaning is behind what the collection stood for the fall, and how it contributes to what's going on with current events in the world. And that's really important. And I didn't know anything about fashion before I joined this school. So I'm thankful for the skills of learning when I was in. That way I can take it more seriously and apply and keep what stays with me, and I think is going to be important for me in building the brand. But there's just so many classes, and I'm just excited for every one of them.
Yes, I can tell that, like that's something you're really into. And I think even if you would have known a little bit about fashion or thought you knew, like this school would have really opened you up and been like, wow, I didn't know anything anyhow.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, Vivian Westwood visited. Alexander McQueen. He visited before, before they passed away, and you just have well-known designers visit and speak to, like my professor said, look at the people around you. They could, be starting the next brand that's going to be changing the world. And it's just like where you go to school is really important in the fashion industry, and I also learned that too. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do my best, but okay.
Yeah, I can imagine that, and I'm kind of curious, like, what are your peers like? Is there other veterans at your school? Do you have a veterans association?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, as far as my classes, there's definitely a lot of young students, which for some reason I didn't think about that. I'm 27, everybody else is like 19, 20. Oh, I'm a senior. I'm like, okay, this is weird. But no, just it's so diverse. Academy of Art is such a diverse school. So you have people from India, China, Hawaii, and places where the clothes are made. People come to Academy of Art in America to learn the industry and the marketing and the merchandising. So I think that's really cool. And so being able to be exposed to that, you're also exposed to how these other students view fashion and what brands they value. And I think just being able to see someone so young and so passionate about these designers and these cultures and these industries, it's really eye-opening. And also, yes, there are a lot of veterans. The reason why I say game design is because majority of the veterans I see at the school, they choose game design, which I was like, oh, well,
I could see that.
yeah, I'm like, you're probably on the ship playing games all day. So
That's what I picture.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But there's definitely a lot of the veterans also do film and photography. And the one thing I also love about the school is that they have a Veterans Resource Center where you also have the opportunity to work as under a work study, which is where I have been working and have been able to connect with in a very short amount of time since moving here. Being stationed in Virginia and then stationed in San Diego when I was in, it took a while to make friends. Like, you're always working around people, but you don't always like hang out with people right away. Like, within the first few weeks I moved to San Francisco, I made so many friends, that my phone was like ringing off the hook like a month when I was here. And I was like, I can't believe how many people I'm connecting with in a short amount of time. But I think a lot of it is thankfully to that Veterans Resource Center. San Francisco is a smaller community, and then the veterans in the school is also small and tight knit. So we want to make sure we push out as much information as we can. And along with that, when you connect with other veterans, you already feel like you know them because they have served, no matter what branch they are. And so, you feel comfortable with speaking with a stranger, but then the topic always comes up about benefits. Like, how are you paying for school? Have you tried this? Have you used that? Do you know this nonprofit? Do you know this resource? I feel like I've been out for 2 years and I'm still finding out new stuff every day. So I'm always excited to learn and share as much information as I can, because what I've learned by being here is that it's the community's job to reach out to the veterans and get them the resources that best works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so cool that you have one there. My college didn't have one, so there was I tried to start one, but then a bunch of stuff happened, but there was only 5 people that I found. But San Francisco is hard. Yeah, you're really painting a great picture of San Francisco. I need to visit there. It sounds very my speed.
Honestly, I'm a huge community person, so the fact that people ask me, what do you like about San Francisco community? I didn't realize that it's a city, but it's small and it's so connected, and they've already established so many different, districts and events, and, they follow their traditions. So you can just jump right in and help people. And I love it.
That's awesome. We need every community to be more like that, more connected, more involved.
But I will also say about the schools, anybody watching who wants to attend, 80% of their students attend online. So you can, if you're even out right now, you can do all those courses online, and get San Francisco benefits. Just the school's available. Like they were already set up online before COVID hit. So their platform on how to learn online is also really helpful. And that's what I did for the first year.
That is good, because I graduated in 2020, and that last semester it was chaotic because my school was just so set on, like, we're traditional, everyone lives on campus, everyone goes to school, like, yeah, it was very traditional, and then that kind of bit them in the ass. But
yeah,
a lot of people were struggling then.
Yeah, it is hard, but I mean, I was kind of like, darn, now I really can't, have that as an excuse. But I mean, I'd rather have that than the other way around. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about your podcast. How did that idea form?
Well, I knew before I moved here that if I was going to come to the school in person, I'm probably going to be able to connect with a lot of videographers and photographers and network in that area. And one thing that came to mind, I think one of my friends is also within communications, what he's studying. And I just kept on just trying to find ways what I could push more information about helping people with their mental health journey, or just different platforms where people can benefit from the brand and what we're actually contributing to the community. And I guess I don't really remember a day where it clicked and I was like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. But I just knew that beginning of this year I had the idea. And then when I moved down here, seeing so many people, already having their production music companies, their photography businesses, and, videography on all that things, like, oh, well, the podcast doesn't seem as intimidating now. So I knew I wanted to start it. I recorded an episode in Nebraska before I moved here, and it just has been an amazing platform where I feel so grateful that I have the opportunity to share other people's stories, especially when it comes to the military. I think a lot of times, like you say in the workbook, we don't get a lot of times to reflect on what we've been through. Mm-hmm. And it's important to talk about, because I'm sure you can agree with this. Anytime you meet a veteran, you can immediately start a conversation about, what your experience was when you served. And I think being able to open up the mic and create a safe place for people to talk about those experiences, it's just so humbling, and it makes them feel better, it makes me feel better, and then it also helps our listeners to connect with somebody, as far as, I didn't realize this person went through something so similar to me, and now I feel less alone. And so I'm being able to push that out there, help people. And I think it's so important with your mental health journey that when you are ready to start, I think a lot of people are ready to start, but then they don't know which way to go. They don't know what the first step is. So being able to hear what other people did, and if they had a click or if it was a slow transition, they can hear those examples and say, okay, that's where I am. They tried that. Let me try it for me. Mm-hmm. And that kind of gives them the encouragement to take that first step.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's so simple. I love the way you talk about it on your podcast because you just say it so simply, and it's just like it's also so powerful in the same light. I want to read this comment. This was totally the recharge I needed before going back to work tomorrow. Happy I tuned in. That's what we're here for, especially on Sunday night. And then we also have a question. I think, okay, can you see it?
Do I have a YouTube podcast? Okay, not yet. Okay, so what we'll do right now, because this is my goal for the next couple months, is to, I wish I could show you my setup right now. I'm like, yeah, I have this couch, but my goal is to start recording sit-down podcast, and then kind of, you know, like the fancy, this view, that view, and then that's what I'm working on as far as collaboration right now. But what I will do, so we're on Apple Podcasts right now, we're on Spotify, and there's a few other links, but what I'll probably do right now is convert it into a video, the audio on a video, and then upload that to YouTube until we get the actual sit down and editing, because yeah, that's another thing you learn in the school, like how to video edit. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much to learn. But yeah, that is a place, a platform a lot of people have been asking about. So yeah, soon.
Awesome. And then, so where can we find the podcast right now?
Yeah, so Spotify, Apple Podcast. I think Amazon also has a listening platform. And then, we have another, somebody does videoing. Oh, okay, yeah, mass communications. Well, you have my contact. Thank you for wanting to help.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to use both of you guys because you know me, I'm the laziest podcaster right here because I just do Instagram Live. I just press live, and then I just take the audio and throw it on just raw. So.
Well, I also cheated a little bit because my sister, my twin, has a podcast too. So when I was starting my business and starting my podcast, like I could just send a text like, hey, how do you do this? And she'll tell me right away. And I'm like, cool. This would have took me like 2 weeks to figure out on my own. So yeah.
That's nice. That is cool. So what is your sister podcast about?
My sister's name is Anita, and her podcast is Money Manifestation Podcast. Wait, because I probably said it wrong. But yeah, it's about manifesting money, but once you get into it, it's kind of like it talks about our subconscious beliefs about money, and into a lot of you know, places in our life of what we do and how we think, and you know, how we live our life when it comes to our relationship with money.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is so true. I mean, when I feel like I'm going to run out of money, or like my husband recently quit his job and took an internship, and you know, you get like kind of scared, and then like when you focus on it, it feels like you're running out. But if you like come from the mindset like, hey, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be fine. Like
Yeah.
I haven't really been stressed about it.
Yeah. Work out. And there's like, you know, not to go off topic, but there's multiple ways to be abundant and gain money, and not just direct money, but you know, experiences, free gift cards, stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay. To help you. We're getting lots of offers for help. I love it. That is so cool. Well, we are coming up on time, and I mentioned it in the chat below that it's a self-awareness podcast. But where's the best place for people to find you? Where your brand is and everything?
Okay. Let me clarify this because I want to make sure it's spelled right. It's Awearness.
The podcast is too? Oh my gosh, I messed that up.
I'm sorry. I should.
My apologies on that.
Okay. So yeah, my brand is called Awearness Athletics, and it's awareness as AWEARNES, and it's fitness wear that represents mental health awareness. And so we have t-shirts, sweaters, And then we're also working on building our own legging and bra collection. So hopefully that'll be launched by next year. And then we have the podcast, which is the Self-Awareness Podcast on Apple, Spotify, and then soon to be YouTube. And then if you look for our Instagram, it's at Awearness Athletics on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And we're mostly active on Instagram. But if anybody ever also wants to reach out to me, please feel free to do so. I'm an open ear, and if you don't have a support system, we're always here to listen. So thank you.
I love that. That is incredible. Well, I want to thank everyone who's on the chat, on the live, going back and forth. We had a lot of fun reading your comments.
Yeah.
Thank you if you're watching the replay or you're listening on the radio. I hope you enjoyed this. This was such a lovely conversation with Alecia. Alecia, thank you so much for being here. Any last words?
I always like to say we have so much going on throughout our day and our lives, and we can get easily caught up. So this is just a friendly reminder to give yourself some grace.
That is so true. I need to write that on my mirror or something, because I swear, why are we so hard on ourselves?
It's definitely to have a reminder.
It is. It's tough. But anyhow, that was great. Thank you so much, Alecia, and I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate your time.
Bye. Bye.